lucky to share many experiences together. One of the most significant events in our life was probably starting our corporate 9 to 5 after university in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. We were both in different cities after college, and 1 year into our jobs, we both moved countries. Currently, I live in Calgary and RIDDHI lives in Toronto. Our experiences after college have really taught us the importance of day-to-day activities we do that kind of break the monotony of a routine.
To us, normal work life has always been working from home, which has been great, but it took us a while to figure out what the life in work-life balance even stands for. The first thing we had to do was figure out our priorities, which are different for both of us. While both of us have an overall similar lifestyle, the things we do in our downtime vary. We've been learning to recognize how we feel after our workday, when we want to be alone, when we want to be with friends, what our habits are, what really relaxes us and brings us joy. These are just some things that work for us, and they may seem simple, but it's all about figuring out how to make it work for you.
We have both recently taken upon dance classes on weekday evenings, and it is so much fun. And I get my daily exercise in, so what's better than that? I'm someone who gets bored pretty easily, and as much as I've tried, the gym just does not do it for me. I'm currently taking Bollywood, hip-hop, diva, and Latin style, and honestly, I'm usually so exhausted by the end of my classes. I can literally feel all the stress in my mind and body just leave while I dance. The feeling I get when my body starts moving to the music, it feels so innate, and I wish I had more time in my day to feel this way, but I'm glad I have my weekday evenings dedicated to this.
Now, we aren't exactly dancers, but something about moving your body, learning new moves, and just jamming to music really doesn't make it feel like as much of a drag as going to the gym. I initially started with the incentive to learn more about technique than for the purpose of working out. And knowing that I have a set time in my calendar a few times a week to get me out of the house gets me excited and less likely to just sit around on the couch all evening after a long work day.
Good friendships are so important to me. They really fulfill my soul. I've made some amazing friends in Calgary and I'm so grateful for them. It's nice having people who are always up to do something on the weekends. I will say I don't see my friends much on weekdays because we're all so busy, but we have our weekends reserved for each other. From eating to going to the mountains, checking out cute boutiques, I love having them as company. I don't really see many people during my work week, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you see it. So seeing my friends during the weekend is a high priority for sure.
Both of us live by ourselves in our own apartment, so we don't really have roommates or family members around us all day. We love the freedom and peacefulness of living on our own, but we still need social interaction in our lives. Of course, we talk to our colleagues in virtual meetings, but it just doesn't feel as relaxing as getting together with friends in person to just chat and hang out. Social life doesn't always mean having plans multiple times a week. For some people like us, that can mean exhausting ourselves even more. Again, it's all about finding what works for you.
I noticed that in college, I'd given up on one of my favorite activities, which was reading. I was always so busy with the college life and constantly being around people. My reading habit completely slipped away. After college, I recognized that this hobby was something I did not want to lose forever, so I picked it up again. Reading books, especially pop fiction, is something I love unwinding to. It is such an easy way to absorb myself in another life. It is almost like a break for my brain from my own life and problems. It's kind of like my version of Netflix. I do like reading spiritual and self-improvement books as well. It really depends on my mood. It is hard for me to read self-improvement books during a busy week because I'm honestly so tired and I do not feel like improving. I'm also very grateful to have an amazing public library in downtown Calgary. The architecture is amazing and they also always have different recommendations and sometimes from local authors as well. It was one of the first places I actually went to when I moved to Calgary and I felt so giddy. I do think literature is what has helped me grow intellectually as a young adult and I do not want to lose out on that growth in the coming years. As someone who works from home, it is really important for my home space to, feel like home. In college, I never cared too much about what my space looked like because I was out so much. Plants give such a positive vibe, and the color green feels pretty lively to me. I am a very new plant mom, so I am still trying to get the hang of it. Not to sound crazy, but I love talking to my plants. I feel like it really adds to the whole feeling accomplished with taking care of something vibe.
I'm definitely very emotionally invested in my plants. At least I've started to learn more about how to properly care for them because they can be so needy sometimes. So far, we only have a few plants each, but as we get better at taking care of them, the more the merrier. Watching TV really gets a bad rep, and sometimes I do go down a hole of binge watching for hours, but I know when my habits are getting unhealthy and becoming just a coping mechanism to dissociate from reality. What I've found works best for me is sticking to watching no more than 1, maybe 2 episodes at a time. I know it can be really hard to stop yourself from playing that next episode during a really juicy part of a show, but this discipline is just what helps me use TV watching as a healthy way to unwind. Ever since graduating college and living on our own, we've started to love cooking. Before, it just used to be a chore and something we'd have to do to avoid eating out too much and keep ourselves fed. But now it's the process of cooking that we find so fun and relaxing. And we don't always make elaborate meals. We've found some pretty easy recipes on TikTok and even created our own. My mom also taught me to always clean up as I go so I don't feel lazy about doing dishes or wiping down the shelves at the end of a really good meal.
You would think that it would be impossible to go on walks in Calgary during the winter months. And yes, we sure did have our cold spell of about, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. But I must say we've had many warm days. I'm talking 10 degrees Celsius kind of weather. I live quite close to the river and there are many great walking areas around me, which I make the most of. Growing up, my parents and I went on walks together by the ocean all the time until I moved out for college. Walking is such a simple activity, but it is very close to my heart because it reminds me of all the beautiful moments I spent with my parents and all our conversation and laughter. That's why it's really nice for me to have this access to a walking path right by the water here as well.
These are just some things that help keep us sane while working our 9 to 5 from home. Of course, none of them are too elaborate, but we think that's why it really works for us. We encourage everyone to really reflect and prioritize the things that they enjoy doing most in their free time.